Hello everybody, it's your boy VG Time back with my final deck profile of 2022. Thank you for everybody who watched the channel. Appreciate it. Got very close to my end of year goal of 500 subscribers, about 18 off. Hopefully if you're watching this video and you're not subscribed, you can help your boy out with that. Now like always, there's going to be a deck planner link at the bottom if you want to follow along while I go over the deck. That's cool. That way you can get my mindset on what is going on and what plays you can make. If you just want the deck, that's fine as well. Just leave your boy a thumbs up so that it could get out to more people. Share it if you wish, all that good stuff. All right, so right now we're talking about a leader that I think is mostly overlooked in the current set. So what I'm talking about is a new Gotenks leader from this set. This leader starts off as Sun Goten and Trunks. It is a superhero character, so there's some credence to that being the case. Like that tag is kind of important. But on the front side, it has an auto once per turn that when you use a blue card in your hand as a combo, draw one card. 4 or less, or you have 2 or more energy, and there's a Goten and a Trunks in your Z energy and or drop. You could draw one, untap one, take life down to 6, flip it over. On the back side, he has an auto that when you swing, you draw a card and it gets 5k. The other auto, it comes up, but it basically allows you to, once per game, swing on a guy with cost 8 or more, and then that card cannot attack during the opponent's next turn. Then it has an activate battle once per turn where you can pay blue, and if your opponent has 3 or more energy and there is 1 or more Goten and Trunks superhero cards in your combo area, you have to have both. You draw a card, switch up to one of your blue Gotenks superhero cards to active mode, and in turn switch up to one of your energy to active mode. A lot of people see this, they saw the big 8 drop, they go, okay, so this effect is for the 8 drop. I have a different opinion. I believe the effect is solely for the leader. I don't even run the 8 drop, as you can see here, because that thing costs 3, and you could be killing people with 3 energy versus swinging a 25k twice. And even then, you can even do that with 3 energy. It's more like a 4 or 5 energy play to even do that. All right, so what makes this leader unique? Why do I like it so much? 2 things. So first, this auto is not once per turn. This auto, to draw a card and get plus 5k, happens every time it swings. So the first swing is for 20, and if you use this ability to restand itself, the second swing is for 25. So 2 swings of 20 and 25 from a leader that's drawing you 2 cards and has giving you back an energy at the end of the turn seems good to me. So the other reason why I like this leader is the restriction on its ability. I really don't like it, but it syncs up with some other cards in the deck, which is that if your opponent has 3 or more energy. 2 things. That ability means that you really want to be going second because you want to have a really strong push on turn 3. This ability also punishes ramp. So if they do ramp and they come up ahead of you, you get to start activating this like on turn 2 and stuff. The other thing is that this ability syncs up well with this guy right here, as has brought out Spirit Resonance. So this guy has a Spirit Boost 2 limit 2 that if your opponent has 3 or more energy, at the end of the battle that you combo with this card, you pay the Spirit Boost 2 cost, and it allows you to untap your leader and give it plus 5, but it negates all its skills. One of the cool things about that is that you are able to swing, then use the leader skill to withstand itself swing, use this guy in a combo, at the end of the battle, withstand itself swing, so that's at least 3 swings. But because it's a limit 2 ability, you are actually able to do this swing twice, and so you can have 4 swings on your leader as soon as your opponent is at 3 or more energy. To help facilitate this ability, shout out to Attack on Productions. We have this card right here. While it's in your Z energy, you can pay blue, pitch a card, the combo 2 mono blue cards with 5k combo power from your drop area with their skills negated. And then it brings out if you have 3 or more cards, you get to play this guy, draw a card. So your goal is to not have 3 or more cards. Like you want to just keep this here and keep cycling the ability. You want to do it on your turn 3 and on your turn 4. Hopefully on your turn 4, assuming you're going second, you're winning the game. This might seem expensive. You're paying blue pitching a card, but remember this guy right here, you pay blue and you draw a card. So it's not really that bad. Also, this ability doesn't require to be the leader swing. So you could swing with him, and if they negate, you go, okay, cool, swing with something else. Pay blue, combo on that something else, pay blue, draw a card, switch them back to active mode, and then you get another swing. So let's get into the specific cards and why they're here and why I made the decisions I made. So if you are going first, or even if you're going second, Gohan Beast is such an amazing SCR for the deck because it's able to withstand your leader, right? So you've seen this done in Crimson Warrior, you've seen it done in Soul Striker. In this deck, it doesn't give you like this ultra energy push like those cards do. But what it does do is allow you to swing for 30, which is pretty good. So if you're not aware what he does because you've been living under a rock, when this guy is played, you choose all your opponent's battle cards and unisons ignoring barrier, bounce it to their hand, and if they have more cards in their hand than you do, they crit a life. And it doesn't matter, well, they're not crit, but they put out the bottom of the deck, and it doesn't matter what their life total is. So if they're at 1 and you draw this, well, then you just won the game. Activate main / battle is also important as / battle. You get to choose up to 2 of your cards, switch them to active mode, and if you switch this card to active mode, it gains critical for the turn. So you could do that in the middle of the attack that you're making when you first play him. You can just swing on him for 40, activate battle, restand him, restand your leader. And now that swing that is currently going on is 40k crit, which is difficult to get out of. And again, you have another 40k crit swing and a leader swing. And then double blue, if your leader is blue and you have 3 or more energy, and you place 2 cards from your hands at the bottom of your deck, play this card from your hand. We already went over how important this card is. You just keep it in the Z energy, cycle the combo. Now to get to the Goten and Trunks, we have these cool cards right here, and all these cards are good. So you have the Tenacious Tag Teams. They each call the opposite one from the deck by paying blue and pitching a card from your hand. You could get any other 3-cost Gotenks with this that are superhero. And opposite, you could get any of the 3-cost Trunks that are superhero. The Goten you get from the Trunks, the main one you want to get is this one right here. It's a blocker. It draws a card, so you don't actually lose advantage by pitching the Trunks from your hand. If you have a Trunks superhero card in your combo area, you get to restand it, but it can't attack for the turn. This is really cool on defense. You usually block, especially if you make this guy early. You will block. They usually don't combo over blockers, in which case you get to just combo a Trunks that you happen to have and then restand them. And now you get to block twice, unless they remove them. The main Trunks you grab is this guy right here. Again, he draws a card. And then if you have the opposite in the Z energy, you can pay 1 to play them. So they're both just efficient to have in your hand on their own. And then this one brings up that if you have a Goten superhero card in your combo area, this card gets +5 for the turn. The reason why that matters is because of revenge, right? So a lot of times this guy will be in rest mode because you're swinging with him, and your opponent is going to swing their leader onto him or their unison onto him because they're not going to want to lose a battle card to get rid of him. And because you most likely paid 1 for him, them using actual removal to get rid of him is energy inefficient. So they'll swing that leader onto him, and if you could generate, even if they go to 20, if you could just generate 1 Goten superhero combo, you could then bean him on top of that as an activate battle for the turn, and then that makes him out of reach for a lot of cards to be able to kill easily. So these are like your early game plays. These guys themselves also have merit to playing each other. If your opponent has an early unison and you have a Goten in hand, you use that to get this Trunks. This Trunks is able to choose one of your opponent's unisons with a specified cost of 1 and return it to his owner's hand. So that's cool if your opponent is trying to be on some cooler type tip. A lot of those unisons cost 1. So like if they just start off with like some jank unison, you could play this guy, bounce it back to their hand, mess up their plays. This guy right here, bottom deck's a 4 or less battle card, so he's decent removal. But that's your Goten and Trunks lineup. Then we have our unisons, right? So at first I didn't respect these, but now I think these are like certified Stone Cold Hood classics. So for instance, you got the Goten, you have the Trunks. and they each have a permanent that if you have the battle card of the opposite name in play, they are only cost 1 to play them. They have Empower 3, and there's no restrictions on them being able to attack. They do have bonuses for coming in with 3 or more markers, which is when this card is played, draw a card on this one. And on this one, the reason why I run it at 4 is that when this card is played and it has 3 or more markers, your opponent bottom decks a card from their hand. So when you're playing a deck that is swinging a lot, you want to limit as much hand size of your opponent as possible. They each also have the same +2 where you draw 1, bottom deck 1, and pump a battle card of the opposite name by 5k. Now I know what some people might be thinking, Smoke Dragon, because these guys cost 1, I don't care if they pay 2 to deal with it with smoke. And plus we run 6 unisons, so we're not really starving. And once you get down the 1, they better have that Smoke Dragon at least 3 times. So once you get down to 1, you're perfectly fine. Because we play these cheap unisons, we also have our super combo that does not care about our life total, but that you just have a unison existing. I've been loving these rejuvenate quote-unquote super combos. I run it in the Pan deck because it's really good with Pan or GT with the spaceship. I love it a lot with Kid Goku because you're gonna have Bulma out there turn to the latest. And I like it in this deck because you're gonna have these sticky unisons that only real way of dealing with them early on is like Smoke Dragon or Gohan if you're playing green. So these guys would just be super combos all the time. Also, I bring this up a lot and people don't really care too much it seems, but having 0-10k super combos is important when you're going against SS4. You do not want them to drop you from 5 to 2 because you have a bunch of Vegeta GTs in hands that don't actually do anything until you have 4 or less life. Alright, so extra cards and the finishes off. 2D magic. You only need to negate when you need to negate, similar with this card right here. You're negating in the most extreme situations. Otherwise, you're more likely to use this Realm of the Gods to get out the attack, or Being to deal with wide attacks and give yourself more energy. Rose, just a good card. You're gonna have this Z energy, usually stacked up pretty decently, and this guy will be able to deal with small things that are coming at you by bottom decking a battle card with cost 4 or less, assuming it doesn't have barrier. And that is basically the remainder of this particular deck. Z deck. This comes up rarely. I hardly ever use it when I was playtesting, but there's validity to it. So let's start off with Beerus. You need barrier removal. He's expensive barrier removal, but it's what it is. This is where the argument for the 8-drop kind of comes into play, because you're able to play the 8-drop for 3 while this one costs 2, but actually this one costs 4. But the difference is you're not pitching cards from your hand to play this guy. The cards are already, his cost is already paid for. You just play it. In fact, you could play it and just keep it out there until the following turn when you might need to deal with a barrier threat. Cell is for the wide board states. Big Swole, he is there because he is good in the blue mirror. You just play him out there, you start ripping guys, ripping cards, you have a blocker. And then this guy right here, he has, again, some type of validity to him. If you are going, again, first, and you gave your opponent a bunch of cards due to early aggro, or they're playing a deck that draws a ton of cards, you can at least get their hand down to a reasonable 10. And then on a follow-up turn, if they don't kill it, be able to do whatever you have to do as far as comboing and doing stuff. In which case, he becomes somewhat cheaper than even this guy to be able to trigger the opponent's, trigger your leader's ability. So that's it for the deck. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I know it's like a little different than most normal decks. So I'll catch you guys next time. This is VG Time signing out, and have a happy new year.